Good morning, everyone. Today is June 29. This is EcoQuant coming to you with a market indices update. I'm going to share what I found this weekend. It's a very interesting time in history as we're seeing increases in COVID-19 throughout the world. Specifically, seems to be affecting the United States, as you can see from this graph. However, the markets remain stable to some degree. I think there are going to be some lagged effects from this pandemic seen down the road, but for now, it seems that the Fed is supporting the market for an undetermined period of time. And so let's move on to the individual updates. I'm also covering some international ETFs to get a sense of where investors are likely to move their money into perhaps countries that have been less affected and have gotten their number of infections under control and resumed more regular economic activity. So starting out with the S&P, I've posted on the board a few comparisons between these major indices. What I'm looking at here is kind of the sideways shape of this of the price line in SPY versus more of a kind of a decline, a negative slope as we're seeing in like QQQ, for example. So as we start out the trading week, we're holding support here at 301. I'm expecting this week to potentially tag 307, maybe even a retest of 312 before that before the continuing weakness into mid-month. For a while now, I've been seeing mid-July as a potential low point, an area to buy weakness. You can see that's pretty consistent throughout all of the indices I'm covering today. So IWM is opening up. Again, we're seeing that kind of sideways to more of a downward shift in slope and price. Recovery is a little uncertain. So while I do have that mid-July time frame, there's a potential for another leg down here in August. So it'd be kind of like a triangle wedge where we're looking at kind of a B, C, D, E type of configuration with that E low in August. So mid-August instead of mid-July, another area to buy. So essentially just this long period of downward consolidation I'm seeing in IWM that seems to be even more notable in terms of its downward trajectory in QQQ. Looking at technology, we've also got the threat of the Hong Kong and China resolution that has yet to take effect. And so there is some uncertainty there, and everything that seems to relate to China has been felt more so in QQQ if we look back over the last 6 months or so, even before this all started when we're dealing with issues surrounding the trade war. So looking even within technology at semiconductors, so this is the SMH index, and this is looking to be, and it's been holding up better than QQQ in general. I think that there's not a huge threat. People are still using semiconductors and computing for a lot of remote tasks, so it seems to have been less affected by the COVID shutdown. So again, seeing this kind of sideways expanding wedge here in SMH. I'm really just in this update. I'm focusing on this. We got 3-month time frame through the summer, and then to see kind of where we can identify strengths to buy, but also potentially weaknesses to short. Moving on to XBI, I'm seeing another declining wedge where we're just now about to complete this first wave down. And for the most part, timing-wise, I'm seeing a low near the end of the month. I do think we get a bump before and kind of after surrounding the 4th of July holiday. And then around the 8th or ninth is when I'm picking up more weakness that will bring us back down to test this 99 level in XBI. I also, so XBI falls under the parent of XLV, which is general healthcare as a whole. So I think that's been holding up relatively strong in light of the increased medical care that is being needed around the country, around the globe. So this wedge is looking more sideways and pointing down, and potentially can be would be used for scalping throughout the summer months as we kind of jostle around this range from 101 to 94. So again, a lot of things I'm seeing are range bound. It just kind of depends on if we're moving sideways down to sideways up is gonna really depend on the sector. So XLV is one that I also just posted on the board in comparison to the others, seeing the largest drop happening soon. So again, that weakness into the mid-July period with this drop and then sideways rather than, so it seems a little bit different than the others. But again, so I'm expecting range-bound action between 20 and 23. So for those of you that do play options, I think it's a good time to expect sideways movement if you can scalp that one way or the other, or just say, hey, I want to pin this at 22 by mid-August. That's another option, and of course you got the Wizard of Ops to help design those strategies if anyone's interested. Moving on to IYR, also looking potentially sideways, range bound between 75 and 81 through mid-August. So it really depends on when we break out of this wedge. I think a lot of that's going to be tied to this recovery following the pandemic and what where that's being felt the most. So let me make sure I got all the covering what I need to here. Yep, so that's moving on to some international indices, seeing more of the same. So some sideways action on China, FXI, where we are kind of, again, range bound between 41 and this, I guess, 39. So sideways to down with this low in mid-August. Brazil has been another country that's been really hampered by the virus, and so that's certainly one that seems to be it's been holding steady. But as you can see, I've got resistance coming up pretty soon here, beginning of July, with a big move down. Maybe similar to just draw a line through here. So that's definitely giving us a downward trending slope in price in Brazil, unless they really turn things around. That seems like it's going to be one of the weaker indices to short. So Russia, RSX, I think that has topped. I was looking for RUSS, RUSS, which is the 2x bear, but I couldn't find it. For some reason, there was the long version, RUSL, to go long, but I don't know if the short one's still available or if that's been retired. So sideways again on RSX. Looking at Japan again, flat sideways consolidation as money is leaving slowly, seems to be leaving equity markets, even though the Asian countries have been had lower infection rates. It still seems to be, as a whole, the global economy seems to be in a recession. I've also got South Korea, which again, looking for, we're in that high point of sideways consolidation, weakness into mid-August. I expect that first drop to be pretty consistent in most globally into that mid-July period. We've got EWU. Okay, that one's not loading, so we'll skip that for now. So we can contrast all of that with the minors and this increasing slope that we're seeing in GDX, potentially through that same time frame. And so if we do have a low in indices in mid-July, that could correspond with a high in minors. And so I'm seeing that both in GDX and GDXJ. However, we could see some initial weakness here. I do think it'll hold at this time. I think it'll hold this trend line with maybe a quick scare on the 2nd before rising into mid-month in July. So market's about to open. I'm gonna close things off there. I'm happy to post any additional charts that are desired, but that's how I see things going over the summer months, and should provide some good opportunities for shorter trades. If we're getting stronger moves, I'm hoping some volume returns to the market. Again, that's not always guaranteed in the summer with weaker volume. So we'll see how things go. Of course, I am reviewing things every day and trying to get a current understanding of where things are headed. But for the most part, I've got general agreement throughout everything I've covered today in terms of timing and a general kind of dampening of extremes in the market as we move sideways over the coming months. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you shortly back in the room. Thanks.